Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to focus on Mercury retrograde, how that has impacted me, how it might impact you, and what the angels have to say about it. For those of you that are new, welcome to the Spirit Fam. My name is Eileen. I'm a spiritual advisor and intuitive angel guide. I communicate to the angelic realm. So be sure that you subscribe. Be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and hit that notification bell to be notified every time I post new content on Mondays. Let's get into it. Mercury retrograde went direct on June 17th. So let me give you a little bit of a history on Mercury retrograde because we normally get it about 3 times a year. But this time around, Mercury retrograde is in Cancer. So Cancer is really about bringing things up emotionally. So a lot of how that is going to play out is going to depend on where you are consciously, where your life experience currently is in the moment. From the perspective of Earth, it sort of appears that Mercury is moving backwards. And Mercury retrograde is purely designed to help you sort of focus, to realign, to really bring into your awareness the things that need to be let go of. So I will tell you that when Mercury actually went direct on the 17th, I felt so off, completely off. I felt very disconnected. Like I was literally a million miles away from my guides, my angels, everything just, and for me on a normal basis, I will tell you that everything sort of seems to fall in sync. Everything, okay, let's all sing like in sync now. Everything sort of just falls into place for me. And that's usually because I set my intentions every day. I have my own routine, my own rituals that I partake in on a day-to-day basis. So for me, everything is it's a routine, it's a habit. But everything was off. And everything just felt like it was almost as if they were trying to tell me, slow down, sis, slow down. And so it was something different that myself, I personally had to sort of change because, let's be clear, I usually don't do that. And that's just the honest truth. Okay, so right now, since Mercury retrograde is in Cancer, we're gonna feel it super emotionally. And the few signs that, see what I mean? Communication. Communication is one of those things that Mercury retrograde really causes a lot of communication issues. The things that I personally have experienced is communication issues, electrical issues, and also relationships. For me, it's about relationships this go round. And communication. Can I just tell you that I can't even begin to tell you how many intros I did for this video. So you guys are going to get a bunch of bloopers at the end of this. So stay tuned towards the end when you see the bloopers. So the signs, the astrological signs that are actually going to feel this Mercury retrograde the most is going to be Aries, it's going to be Cancer, and it's going to be Libra, and it's going to be Capricorns. They're going to feel it the most. The 2 signs that will feel it the least are going to be Scorpios and Pisces. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. It's all going to depend on where you are in your elevation process, where you are in your life, the type of experiences that you are attracting to yourself, and where you are moving consciously. So, because I know a few Scorpios who are really feeling this Mercury retrograde, even though they're personally not supposed to be feeling it as much, and neither are Virgos because I'm a Virgo. We're really not supposed to be feeling it right now, but because I am really elevating and I'm really really focused, I'm feeling it more this go round because it's based off of relationships. Okay, so what is Mercury? So Mercury is really about communication, okay? It's about how you communicate with others, how others communicate with you, and how you grow consciously, okay? Now, I will tell you that this go round, it's sort of, for me, it's really wanting me to sort of refocus, realign, release, and rethink a lot of my relationships. So usually when Mercury retrograde comes around, you're gonna have a lot of things from your past come up. You're gonna feel triggered. You're gonna feel like, you know, those exes that will come into your life will be like, hey, what's up? And you're like, goodbye, those kinds of things. You're also gonna have people that you haven't talked to in a million years just automatically show up and wanna communicate with you. And you're gonna have to really focus and ask yourself some very deep questions. So I loved this because I can tell you that from my own perspective, it really is making me focus on my relationships. And what I mean by that is that, you know, I've always been the type of person that I have a very small circle of people that I confide in. My circle is very tiny, very small. It is the people that I usually reach out to the most. It is the people that I communicate with on a daily basis. And it primarily consists of like 3 people. That is it. That's what I mean by my circle is very small of the people that I confide in the most. I have a ton of acquaintances and I have a ton of friends that, you know, I grew up with, but as you grow and as you sort of expand your awareness and your consciousness, you change. You really change as a person, and not everyone is going to vibe with the same kind of frequency. And how relationships comes into play for me this go round is that I'm really asking myself those deep questions like, do I really want these types of people in my life? Or is it time for me to let go of the things that no longer serve me? And that is really what has transpired. So I have basically let go of a lot of people on my social media, that on my own personal page, that I normally would have just left there. I wouldn't have removed them, or I wouldn't have unfriended them, or I wouldn't have unfollowed them. But now I'm really focusing on, you know, what do I really want to focus on? What do I really want to attract? And I find this very interesting because the cards that were drawn for today, that the angel's message for Mercury retrograde is so right on that. So here's what the first card is. So the first card is going to be focus, okay? So our first card is going to be focus. And what does focus mean? What are the angels really trying to tell us about this? They want to tell us about Mercury retrograde. Number one, they want to tell us to focus. So what this means is, what is your point of attraction? Where is your primary focus, and what is it that you want to create? So when Mercury retrograde comes into effect, what that's really asking us to do is it's wanting us to realign our thoughts, really bring back into our awareness, or really concentrate on the things that we're trying to bring in the future. When you have things from the past that are going to come up, because that's usually what happens when Mercury retrograde comes in, you really start getting a lot of things that come up from your past, whether it's past hurts, whether it's past relationships, whether it's all kinds of things from your past. It's life lessons that you've learned like years ago, and all of a sudden you feel like you've learned it at optimum level and you're moving on, and then all of a sudden, bam, it just sort of sideswipes you and you're like, I thought I worked on this. That's what Mercury retrograde does. It sort of brings that stuff back up into your awareness because it really wants you to realign your thoughts, because your thoughts do create reality. They do create things. So what the angels really want us to focus on is really asking ourselves the things that we constantly bring into our own awareness, the things that we constantly focus on, is that aligning us with our higher self? Is it aligning us with our soul truth? Because if it's not, then that's something that we need to release and we need to let go, okay? All right, the second card is going to be divine masculine, okay? So what this card represents is light supports and inspires action. So what does that mean exactly, okay? We have to first recognize that everything has a purpose. So as difficult as it might be to understand and as frustrating as it might be to have Mercury retrograde, we have to sort of understand that there is a purpose for it. Because when else are we going to be able to really slow down and really allow ourselves to focus on the things that we primarily or normally would not focus on, right? So we first have to recognize that every experience, every situation, every life lesson, every person in our life serves a purpose. And it will either serve a purpose in a specific time, for a certain amount of time, or for long periods of time. It's just going to depend, right, on what your experiences are. So this is really asking us to realign our thoughts again, because again, it's really wanting us to focus, right? So if we know that light supports and inspires action, then the action that we personally need to take is we need to focus on what it is we're really trying to create. Really asking ourselves those deep questions. Does this person, does this situation, does this event help align me with my higher self, with my higher truth, with my soul truth? Is this really what I want to bring into the future? Because if it doesn't, then maybe this is something that we might actually need to let go of. This might be something that we might need to just say, you know what? I understand it for what it is. It's time that I move on. This is especially true when it comes to relationships, because relationships can be hard, even if it's family members. Letting go of people that either A, don't sort of vibrate with you on a really great level, or B, you just sort of don't feel yourself. You sort of have to change who you are to be with them. That really isn't what I would consider to be your the type of people that you want to associate. You want to be your best self. You want to be who you are. You want to be able to totally and completely and utterly be who you want to be and who you are without having to sort of conform who you are. This is about really asking us to discipline the way that we think, the way that we focus, and really ask ourselves those deep questions. Okay, the third card is going to be color. Now, these are beautiful cards. I absolutely love this. And this basically is vibrational impulses and light waves. So what this means is that this is opening up to different experiences. It's basically allowing us to open up to different experiences. What that means is that right now with Mercury retrograde, what you would normally witness or experience on a day-to-day basis is changing. Mercury retrograde is completely changing the way that you experience your day-to-day. That is very true for me. A primary example of that is that my wife and I have great communication skills. We understand each other even without verbally communicating to each other. And so when Mercury retrograde hit, I had asked my wife a simple question. It was a simple question that she would normally answer. She answered me. She gave me 4 different answers, but not the answer to the question that I asked. And so that was very frustrating to me, because it was like, okay, are you not hearing me? Do you not understand what I'm asking you? And so that is usually what happens with Mercury retrograde. Your communication just sort of gets lost, and it sort of feels like the people that you would normally have a very pleasant conversation with, or that you would be able to communicate with clearly and not have any doubts or any questions about, it just sort of feels like they don't understand you. They're like on a totally different level. And that's not what it is. It's just that it's really asking you to really focus and really slow down. We have to often recognize that light, okay, all of the colors that we witness are being displayed to us in different ways by white light. So different colors get fragmented. It's just like a rainbow, right? So a rainbow is created by a fraction of light, right? That is fragmented into different rays. Experiences and the situations that we encounter during Mercury retrograde is meant to provide us with a different perspective, right? It's wanting us to recognize The way that we are experiencing it now in the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual is different than the way that we experienced it long ago, like in the past, right? So it's really asking us to recognize, who were you then, right? Obviously, because if Mercury retrograde is bringing up something from your past, it's really wanting you to identify with, who were you then? How did you identify with it? How did you heal? And how have you changed now, right? Looking at that experience from a much elevated experience. Because I think a lot of times when we have to revisit old wounds, or when we have to revisit old experiences, we oftentimes get a little disgruntled about it because we feel like, "Oh, I've already worked on this. Why am I having to relook at it again?" But what we fail to recognize is that we've grown. We've truly grown since then. So this is really asking us to look at it from a different ray of light, right? So really looking at it from the perspective of, how have I changed? How have I grown? What is it that this is trying to teach me? What is it that this is asking me to really look at? Mercury retrograde is really about releasing. Visit the past and revise our current behaviors. Like, what is it that you're currently doing that is no longer serving you for your highest good or for where you want to go? So those are the actual cards. And I really like this because it brings us down to just one thing, right? It brings us down to the pure one message of, what are you trying to create? What is your main point of attraction? What is you constantly focusing on? I will tell you that for me, because I'm a Virgo and I am a perfectionist, for me, it's about getting everything just right, or to my standard. I've been having to really slow down and really recognize that my mistakes, the quirkiness of who I am, truly represents who I am. And I have to learn to embrace that. And I don't always embrace that part of myself. Like when I make mistakes, or when I feel like I'm, being too silly, or, those kinds of things, that really isn't what I want to portray out to the world sometimes. Because I think that, especially when you're someone who is really putting yourself out there, you want people to see you in a great form of light. And the one thing that this Mercury retrograde is really making me focus on is that I have to embrace the quirkiness side of me. I have to embrace the parts of me that make a mistake, because that is truly who I am. And that's what makes me me. And that's how I identify with myself. And so I've also had to learn that not everybody in your life will move with you. There's a lot of things that you all don't know about me, just because I'm a fairly new channel, and I am truly trying to inspire and motivate other people to become more in tune with who they are as a person, and to be more authentically themselves, and to love who they are. But also to provide spiritual guidance and spiritual messages from the angels. I've recognized that the people that I thought were really good friends and people that I could confide in aren't necessarily the ones that I want to associate with, or the ones that will move on with me, because a lot of them either they were only in my life for reasons that pertain to them. They utilized me for their own selfish purposes, and they didn't really truly authentically and genuinely accept me and appreciate me for who I was, because they wanted me to be more like them. Here is what I feel the big primary message is going to be. I feel that it is important that right now, especially since Mercury will be in retrograde until probably about the 26th of July, so we still have quite a bit of time. While you're going through this, the important key things that you need to really focus on is, don't resist it. Don't resist whatever comes up. If something from your past comes up, just acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, revisit it, look at it from a much higher perspective by seeing how different you were back then to how you are now, and really allow yourself and give yourself permission to rethink, reevaluate your experiences or the people in your life. Be gentle with yourself, most importantly, because I feel like I've struggled so much with this one video that I was starting to really like get like, you know, and I had to sort of take a step back, take a, you know, deep breath and be like, okay, you can do this. Like giving myself a pep talk. Just be gentle with yourself. You know, if things come up, just recognize that they're coming up for a reason, and you have to really evaluate that reason. You have to be willing to say, I need to release this because I deserve it, because I deserve to let go of the things that no longer serve me. Even if that means that you have to sort of forgive yourself for whatever happened or whatever transpired back then. It's okay. Forgiveness isn't really about saying that you agree with what transpired, but it's really about accepting that you are worthy and you are of value to let it go so that you can move on. That's truly what forgiveness is about. So just be gentle with yourself. Go into this Mercury retrograde with ease and grace. Laugh as often and as much as you can. Trust me, I have laughed at myself plenty of times. Really want you to be more aware of the things that you're focusing on. What is your point of attraction? What is it that you want to create? And is that experience or is that person going to help you achieve that vision for yourself in the future? So that is the message that we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will tell you that our next video is going to be a vlog video. I'm going to be taking a trip to go see a fellow soul sister. So you're going to get to come with me and see all of the fun goodness that happens when I get together with her and we do a whole bunch of woo-woo and spiritual stuff. So I'm truly excited about that. I'm going to enjoy bringing you on that journey with me. So if you like this, please be sure to give this video a like, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I release new content. Thank you all so much. Namaste, guys. Today, we are going to discuss Mercury retrograde. What can you blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Let's start over. Today we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde. Can I tell you how many times I've actually done this intro? Let's just start there. Talk to the angelic realm. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, apparently my lawn man is here doing the yard now.